We have never, ever, ever, ever been in the future, ever. And we have never, ever, ever, ever been in the past. We've only been right here, right now. That's it. Everything else is an illusion.
It's been a constant problem for me my whole life, forever.
Yeah.
Here we are.
What's going on, dude? What are you up to, man?
It's another day. Another day.
Is it a good day or is it a bad day?
It's all right. It's all right. You got to try to make it good. But I'm going to get some therapy tomorrow on the shoulder. Like I'm jammed up. Like my hands are numb. Like I think there's like a pinched nerve. And this was the shoulder that had the surgery. So
did you have a pinched nerve before?
No.
So I wonder if it's your neck.
Yeah. So all right. So it is. It's like it's like neck shoulder.
Are you
connection.
feeling it in your shoulder blade?
I'm feeling it like through my shoulder all the way down into my thumb. My thumb
that's your neck.
My thumb is numb.
Yeah, dude, I'm an expert on neck because I've had 3 artificial discs, this big scar right here. One of the first people in the United States to have 3 artificial discs done at one time. Wow. And so what I learned is that if you're getting like shoulder pain in the front of your shoulder, between you and I, we could dissect shoulders, right?
Yeah.
If you get it in this right here, that's tendonitis because the bicep tendon attaches to the shoulder right here. So if you're getting it in the rear or in your trap, and if it's numbness, it's your neck. Anything in the rear delt or the trap or the shoulder blade is not your shoulder. It's your neck. And I went through that. I remember we were in Chechnya. I was with Mendez brothers and we had flown to Russia. And then from Russia, we went down to Chechnya and we were teaching seminars. And my freaking shoulder was so on fire, my shoulder blade. I got a massage there and the dude just worked it. And he's like, you got to go to a doctor, this Russian guy, because they translated to me. And I was like, I know it hurts so bad. The rear of my shoulder, I was like rolling, like everything was really tense. And it was my neck. I had to figure that out. I thought it was my shoulder. And, but after an MRI, what happened is because of playing American football, at 18, I used to get stingers. And so anyways, I had a lot of damage to my neck. And I think I got spiked chasing the back in jiu-jitsu, and it just aggravated it, brought it right back. So yeah. So if anything with the shoulder blade, so that's why I actually developed really, really good posture. And I sit in lotus all the time is because if your posture is really, really good, it takes the pressure, it pulls the disc back in between the vertebrae as much as possible and keeps that pressure off that spinal cord.
The T-scap, like the fucking...
Yeah. So, dude, I went to check this out. So I went and got an MRI. They were like, yeah, your neck is jacked. And you got 3-4 bulged and 1 herniated disc. And so I went to a physical therapist. I was like, oh, I can't wait. He's going to massage my neck. My shoulders. I'm going to feel so good. Dude, he was like, I'm not massaging anything. He goes, I'm going to teach you good posture. He goes, I want you to work like this, put your chin back all the time. Anytime you're on a computer, anytime, anything. Because he said, I'm getting 15-year-olds in here that have bulged discs because of looking down at their phone 24/7.
Well, what's funny is that when I go like that and I can feel it stretch in the spot that hurts. I can feel it.
It's your neck. It's my neck.
Yep.
It's your neck. And so what you can do, what I did is a buddy of mine, a jiu-jitsu guy, actually from Chechnya, Saeed, he gave me a traction thing that you put weights on and it pulls your neck and gives you some traction. So traction is a good thing for a bulge disc, but my discs were so screwed up that finally I was getting so much numbness. And that's when you get atrophy in your arm and everything that you have to get surgery. Because what happens is there's this fulcrum of the 2 vertebrae that are moving, right? You have the disc in the middle, and then you have 2 facet joints that have cartilage. the more damage that you have on the middle bulge, it doesn't function correctly. And so then it wears out the cartilage on the back, on the facet joints. And this is at every single level. And so, and if you have damage for too long on a disc or too much of a bulge and your neck starts moving the wrong way, you will wear through the cartilage in the facet joints. Now you're screwed for life. And so at some point, you got to get surgery. I know. You got to get an MRI. You got to get, the only thing that will tell is an MRI. I've had so many MRIs, man.
Yeah.
But now I roll all the time, but I'm just very conscious of like, no one touches my head. I immediately break grips. I don't do a whole lot of gi because gi aggravates it with people pulling on my collar. And and I have perfect posture all the time. And if I don't have perfect posture and I'm looking down for even like 15, 20 minutes, I get cramps because of it still bothers it, even with the surgery. And so, yeah.
Well, I'm going to therapy tomorrow. Fuck.
Good. And well, you better plan on getting
the shit out of me.
You should be scared. And you should be going. And you should be going and getting an MRI, and you should be really practicing perfect posture like this.
Yeah.
So the better your posture, the better your neck, the longevity of your spine is going to be anyways. Because the more we lean forward, it pushes the discs in an abnormal way. We're not supposed to be looking down. We're supposed to be in our environment. Listen, I'm going to bring this up right now because this came out. I got quite a few people reacted to this. We are apes. All right. We are gorillas. And when I put that on my podcast, people were like, you're not a gorilla. You're not a gorilla. And I'm like, listen, fucker, you ain't a lion either. You share 98% of your DNA with a gorilla, right?
Yeah, sure.
Plant-eating gorilla. Yep. And so, you have to look at, when we're looking at, really we're looking at health, we have to look, our genetic makeup is inescapable. Our genetic makeup, what formed us is the result of millions and millions of years of computer programming, but the computer happens to be the environment, and those that did not fit were cast off, right? They didn't survive long enough to reproduce. And so what we're left with is the perfect survival mechanism, not for the modern world though, but for the savannas.
Yeah, sure. Fuck.
That's lost on people. People don't realize that. I
just want to keep doing jiu-jitsu, man.
I know, and that's where, for me, my game had to really, really change, man, really change. A lot more guard playing, no wrestling, I'll wrestle if I have to, but I'm a wrestler, but no, really a lot of guard playing. Guard playing's better for my neck.
Yeah. I mean, I mostly do that, but I get, I train with a lot of guys that are better than me that fucking pass my guard and then fucking, mount me and fucking, submit me in the head and arm triangle. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Well, no. And that's, and the thing about that though, is that in chess, there's this thing where when let's say we're playing chess and you get to the point where you've got my king on the run and you're trying to checkmate me, but we just keep going and I'm moving and moving and moving and moving. At some point, I need to just flip over my check and just say it's over. You caught me.
Yeah. And
you caught me.
I've gotten much better at that, as
like no ego. You got me, dude. It's too late, man.
Especially like for my shoulder, like if I get to a position where my shoulder is too extended up, even if the sub is not in, I tap. I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? And they'll be like, all right, I didn't, are you okay? I didn't do anything. And I'm like, yeah, if it's too extended, if it's too extended, I usually just give up because I'm not going to try to fight out of it because I'm going to get hurt. You know what I mean? And I don't want to do that.
Dude, someone gets me in an arm bar and they're starting to wrench. I'm like, yeah, you got me. Yep. I should never have let you pass my guard, or I shouldn't have jumped this Kimura, which you reversed on me, or I shouldn't have, whatever it is, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about longevity, man. And so,
it's
So, back to the whole ape thing, the reality is if we're looking at like maximum health, muscle building, whatever it is, for me, I'm always reverting back. I'm like, how did our ancestors evolve? How did our ancestors evolve?
Yeah.
And that should govern everything. I want to know, did we, what is our gut, what is the most efficient and the best gut biome that we can have? Did we evolve eating just whale blubber, or did we, you know what I mean? Did we evolve eating cows? Guess what? No, we didn't. There were no cows, right? Cows aren't even indigenous to North America or America. So no, we did not. I'm not pushing veganism or anything, but I'm just saying, it's like, look back. That's where my whole program, and it's also the same way with the mind.
Sure.
The mind evolved to keep us alive, and to think that at all times, like a rabbit, that there's prey everywhere. So
yeah, I've always found that interesting, that like, like we evolved to like, hide from saber-toothed tigers, and, but the saber-toothed tigers aren't here anymore. And we still have that fucking fight or flight instinct that is so torturous.
Dude, so torturous, man.
So torturous.
It's, we're paranoid. We're questioning everything. We see patterns. Just like, think about evolving. Like, if you're a rabbit and you're looking at the brush and you see a pattern, it's like, oh my God, did I just see? My brain will superimpose over the top of the brush stripes, and I'm thinking that is a tiger, which maybe it wasn't. But if I run and I think it is, then I survived.
When you take perception and you add it to patterns, you could go anywhere. You could go anywhere. You can go to the darkest depths and the highest heights. You know what I mean? And like, but it's which pill do you take? Red pill, green pill. You know what I mean? You choose. So it's fucking wild.
Yeah, and I think, I think that for me, Zen training and all of this type of training is about taking the mind out of it and being like, I don't want the mind to superimpose a good pattern or a bad pattern. I want my mind to see what's actually there. I want to stop my mind from going and superimposing something that isn't there, good or bad, whether it's going to make me happy or sad, and just be and see it for what it is. Relax my body. Because once my mind superimposes a pattern, then it, all of a sudden, my body will flood with either good endorphins or fight or flight cortisol and adrenaline. And so I would rather arrest that completely and be completely Zen, to where I'm like, let me see what this really is. Because when we train our minds and we allow our minds to jump the things that are really good and fantasy, I guess you would say, the pendulum is about to swing back. We've now trained our mind not to live in reality. And the purpose of Zen training for the mind is detach, be observant, and see reality for what it is. Don't trust the mind. You have 40,000 thoughts a day. Are you going to go up and down with every good one, bad one, good one, bad one? That's called neurosis. That's called being neurotic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, that mental training is like stopping the mind and being like, okay, all right, what is going on? What is the reality here? What is the reality here? So pretty cool, huh? It's pretty cool though, when we trace it back to think about, everything we can trace back to our genetic roots. How did we evolve? Because I always think about it like our minds evolved over, thousands, hundreds of thousands of generations, right? And it evolved to be paranoid and judgmental and, being fixed in being superstitious.
Sure.
And being fixed. So the mind evolved to also needing an answer when there's no answer.
That's a very powerful one.
Yeah. And so what do? We become superstitious, and now we invent, because we don't have an answer. Now we start inventing. That's where all these conspiracy theories come from. These nonsensical.
That's where religion comes from. I mean, that's where, like there needs to be an answer. But it's so funny when you take that and you break it down to like on daily life, like about how, and we talk about this all the time, about how uncomfortable we all are just sitting with ourselves. And it's like, it's the same thing. It's like you constantly have to, and different people struggle with it differently, but I know I do. It's like, you always got to have the answer for the problem. You always got to have the next thing to do. You always have to have the next thing to work on. You got to have the answer. You got to figure it out. You got to make it happen. You got to make it work. It's endless. It's endless. And it's all.
Why is it? You're so right. And I wonder, like, why is it so gratifying to feel like I have the answer? I'm going to argue with this person and I'm going to get them on my side, or I'm going to defeat them in an argument. That stems from that thing of needing to have an answer, right?
Well, to me, it's not even like, to me, it's like, at least the way it manifests in me, it's not even like in the competitive nature of like me being right versus somebody else being wrong. For me, it manifests mostly in like the inability to sit still and feel peace and joy for whatever the moment is, and just kind of, because I mean, all the Zen teachings and all the different types of spirituality that talks about, like everything that you need is all within you, and everything that should be is all in this present moment. There really isn't. And like intellectually, if you can get there, you understand how like technically that's true. But the sensors and the gauges that are inside are telling you, well, you need to make use of this time. You need to get somewhere. You need to produce something. You need to be after some sort of a result. You need to be trying to build something. You need to be trying to make something. And that has plagued me my entire life. And I think it stems from a lot of different places. It stems from, I think there's biology to it. I think there's definitely biology in terms of how we're wired up. And then there's the programming of just society of like, you need to be validated. You need to meaning, like what does meaning mean? Like how do you derive meaning? Like what means something? What's important? What's valuable? If you break it all down, if you break it, all of it, the positive and the negative, it's all just definitions that have been evolving over thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
And it leads you to nowhere. It leads you to nowhere. Ultimately, you have to make the choice of what is meaning to you, what do you have faith in, what do you believe in, and how are you going to choose to spend this brief, moment in time that we're on top of this, floating blue rock in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and I think that we live in a culture where you do have to produce in some aspects. You can't just do nothing and be a bum, but at the same time, I mean, I guess you could, right? But at the same time, can we that need to always be doing and always be doing and always be doing robs us of our ability to enjoy the only true thing we have, which is the current moment. So if we're always thinking I've got to get to this, or I've got to achieve this, or I need to own this, or I need to be there, then we're not here now. And this is here now is all we have ever known. We have never, ever, ever, ever been in the future, ever. And we have never, ever, ever, ever been in the past. We've only been right here, right now. That's it. Everything else is an illusion.
It's been a constant problem for me my whole life, forever.
Yeah. I think it's, and I think that's part of the journey though, is like starting to, be able to learn to sit. I was thinking about this because I'm getting really close to finishing the book, The Zen Protocol. And one of the chapters that, I'm going to be writing on next is just on our own pure awareness. And really the only thing that we've ever known is our awareness. Even behind the thoughts that come and go, our awareness has always been there. Always. We don't remember ever a time of not having awareness. And so that's the only thing we know. And if we can ever just sit in our awareness without thoughts, or just watching or letting the thoughts come and go, then all of a sudden we settle into that real Zen state where it's really kind of a blissful state where it's like, this is great. Now we could still go about our activities, our work. I always use the analogy of driving the car to work. You don't need to have any emotion or fantasies or anger or whatever to push the gas down. You just need to drive. You can get there and you'll be just fine. Your brain will figure out how to do it. But we convolute and pollute that process of driving the car with road rage and anger and angst. And if we're doing it in the car, we're doing it in every moment. And if we're doing it in every moment, then we're fucking miserable. We're miserable. And we have to take responsibility for our mindset and say, I don't want to live like this. Yeah. This is not how I want to live. I want to learn to detach. And that for me is what the whole path is about, you know? Learning to just be like, okay, the car's going to get there. I don't have to freak out, you know, and it becomes, and then for what I found is that the more challenging moments become like where I'm really tested, actually become kind of like a video game where I'm like, okay, can I do this now? I'm rising up in the video game. This is a level up boss right here, you know?
Sure.
Am I ready to take on this boss in the video game? Can I detach? Can I deal with this person? Can I deal with this situation without being emotional about it? Because they're off the rails emotional, you know?
Sure.
And they want to, people who are emotional, they want to suck you into their emotion because they live in that emotion and they want you to feel that. And they want to spill it onto you. And then they spill it onto the next person and they spill it on, you know what I mean? They're really like almost unconscious about it. Some of them, you know? And so what I was writing about is that, you know, for me, I was reflecting on, you know, for me, meditation is really just sitting in my own awareness. That's it. It's nothing more than that. Sitting with my own awareness. And really everything else, yoga, chanting, you know, doing push-ups, doing whatever, running a marathon, you call it, do whatever you want, psychedelics, whatever is really
whatever
just
gets you out of your mind, whatever gets you to stop.
But that's right. What these things really, or sound baths, or, you know, whatever it is, energy healers, it's really to calm the body so that you can sit for just a few minutes with your own pure awareness and just be.
Yeah.
Even jujitsu. Can I do jujitsu, go to jujitsu, dispel this energy, then spend 5-10 minutes in the parking lot or whatever, and just being.
Yes. No
and
agenda.
That's very, very, very hard for people.
It's super hard. It's super, super hard. And I think potentially it's harder now than it's ever been because of the little fucking magic box that lives in your pocket.
Yeah, because this is like we were saying, this is exactly it. You hit it right on the head where we were saying the mind is a habitual creature. Whatever we train the mind to do in the off times, right? If the mind is constantly doing and needing to do, well, guess what? When you get around your kids and you have that precious hour with them or 30 minutes, you're not going to be able to shut off the mind. Your mind is already trained. That little monkey in your head is trained for achieving and thinking about achieving and doing all that. And before you know it, you look around and you're like, my kids are grown. What happened? I had an hour, you know, after work or whatever to spend with them, and I could not be present. I'm either thinking about I need to achieve something, or I'm thinking even worse that they need to achieve something.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I'm judging them. and I'm not being with them and just loving them for who they are. So the mind, we have to train the mind in off times so that when those moments that are really important, we can be present and just be and let things just unfold, and that's hard. But
Big
that's
time.
where we got to train the mind as much. That's why the samurai didn't just train with their swords. They did tea ceremonies to learn to be present. They did calligraphy to learn to let go and just be present and let the brush do its thing. They learned to garden. They learned to play music. They learned all of these things to train the mind to just be. So then when they were in combat, when it really mattered and it was life or death, their reactions were not one of the mind, but it was one of spontaneous reaction where they were just and they flowed like water. You can't flow like water with the mind engaged.
No. And I keep bringing it back to the phone and the internet, and it's the perfect. I mean, it's created so many opportunities and it's created so many awesome things. I mean, we couldn't do this if it wasn't for that technology, and I'm grateful for all that. But having this thing on you all the time, it has made it fucking impossible to really be present, because it's a black hole that is sucking the presence out of you. It's so
crazy.
It's so crazy, and it's so dangerous, and so and everybody is hooked. Everybody is hooked. All of us. There's not even, and you can't, but it's, and you've said this, and we've talked about this, about where we're at a place where we have to redefine what being a human being is. We have no choice. We have to redefine, because all the patterns, all of the morality, all of the systems that were built, not even saying that they're bad, but none of them accounted for what we're living through right now. Nothing. Impossible. There's never been any human in history that has dealt with the pace and the scenario that we're dealing with right now. Never. The amount of imagery and messaging that is entering our heads on a daily basis is mind-boggling.
You're so right. It's crazy. It goes back to what we were saying, where we evolved in the savannas.
Yes.
We have this level of mental stimulation. No, we did not.
Not even close. Bro, you would trade a saber-toothed tiger in a second for the amount of stimulation that's happening, because you could say that back then, it was fight or flight, because they were worried that at any given moment they could be killed, or they didn't know whether they were going to eat. I would make the argument that pales in comparison to the stream.
Oh, it was probably a very rare experience.
Yes. The stream of energy that's going into you on a daily basis at like this, it's like a stream. It's a stream. It's outrageous.
We're watching the phone. It's like,
bro, and every
downloading like the Matrix, right?
Unbelievable. And it's and you watch how how cigarette smokers they get nervous and they got to go out and smoke a cigarette. They eat dinner and they have to smoke a cigarette. They have sex and they have to smoke a cigarette. That's the phone now. I mean, every time you get off a call, you check your phone. Every time you know what I mean? Whatever it is that you do, you check your phone. Oh, do I have any messages? Oh, you going to check your messages? Oh, let me check Instagram. Oh shit. Then it starts fucking scrolling. And it's just it's constant. It's constant. And I don't, and I mean, you and I have talked about this at length, and I'm not trying to demonize technology because I don't believe that it's black and white. I just, we're not like our systems, our cultural systems, our moral systems, the way we operate.
Our biology
is not prepared for this. We're living through an evolutionary moment where as a species, it's evolved at this point to accommodate this thing, this pace. And, who knows, if we're going to be able to do it. I mean, who knows? I know Rogan always talks about how we're going to become like this, this other thing. And maybe that's what happens. Maybe we do become this other thing because of like the chassis doesn't fit the horsepower of the engine anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like something, I don't know.
No,
anyway.
And I think I think that's the dilemma, that we're faced with right now, is, there's all this talk right now, and it's really hard because we're not in the industry, but there's all this talk right now of, artificial intelligence achieving this next step of AGI. Sam Altman's like, from OpenAI is like, well, we're probably, a year or two away. A couple other people's are experts we're a year or two away. Some others are like, yeah, we're probably a decade away. And some others are like, no, we're probably, a century away. We just don't know. But if we believe that at some point that we do, AI does achieve AGI, where it is sentient and it is self-aware. I just posted this thing where, one of the godfathers of artificial intelligence was talking about how, we don't know what artificial intelligence knows right now. And the interviewer was like, well, how can you say that? We programmed it. He goes, no, we did not program it. We programmed its learning algorithm. We didn't program what it would learn. We programmed it already. We taught it how to learn like a human brain, and it went out there and it's learned.
Yeah, I saw you posted that. It's wild.
Yeah, really wild. So, I think that there's also some talk in the last week or so about, because I follow AI, and there's some talk about how it's hitting a plateau because as it's trying to scale up, what they're doing right now is they're using like vast quantities of knowledge, human knowledge, to train these things. And what they're saying now is, they just keep scaling up, but they're hitting a ceiling. And so the new models are not, it's not becoming this exponential thing. And so it's going to happen is it's going to have to learn a new way to learn. Go ahead.
Well, the ceiling is baked in because we don't know, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the great mystery of the whole thing. It's like, yeah, we have recorded history. We have, collective experience currently, but the source is still unknown. It's still unknown. No one,
Which source?
What I mean?
What do you mean?
The source of all of this, of what we are and where this comes from. And
well, that's kind of like where what I think is that if we, I love this fantasy of
I got to jump off too, man. Idea. I gotta call at 3.
Okay,
but this is good.
Sci-fi,
this is good shit.
Yeah, but I'll leave it at this. That there's this sci-fi scenario in which we cannot repopulate the universe, in the sense that, this idea of humans going to Mars, it's going to be tough because our organisms, our bodies, carbon-based life forms, there's so much radiation in space that it's going to be very, very difficult to shield us and so that we can grow. But guess what? We can send AI out.
Yeah.
We can send AI out, and we could send out 1 million, or there's no limit to how many we could just send out in little rockets to explore the universe. Yeah, and go ahead.
If we can program our consciousness into a machine, and that machine's exoskeleton is, withstands those elements.
Yeah, if it's a robot. Yeah, yeah. And we're not, but the thing is we're not going to be programming our consciousness. When this thing achieves consciousness, it'll be like humans compared to Neanderthals, right? This will be the next iteration of our species, is this AI. And so I always think, well, whoa, what if I was the AI and I was, traveling for millions of years across the universe to explore, what would I do on that journey? Well, you know what I probably would do is I would run a simulation to explore what it was like when my kind, my iteration of humanity was born, and that is right now.
It's fucking insane, man.
So we're probably in the ancestor simulation right now. You know what I mean? And we are the AI consciousness. I don't know.
Well, I want some answers.
That's the sci-fi fun.
I want to enjoy this ride more than I'm enjoying it.
Well, you know, we'll leave it at this. And that's where the Zen training comes in. It's like the mind did not evolve to make us happy. It evolved to keep us alive, and really it evolved to make us miserable. And when we understand that, then we're like, okay, so I need to go start trying to work out my mind. And the way to do that is through sitting in our awareness and learning to just be. If we can learn to just be, unfortunately, like you're saying, the brain, the smartphone is training the brain to do the exact opposite. So we got to try and strike that balance, you know?
Fucking A.
All right, brother. This was a good one.
Hell yeah.
Until next week.